Ollie, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, good. You're used to being on the other side, aren't you?
Yeah, used to hosting, so it'd be interesting to flip around. Not done the other side in a while, so excited to dig into, I guess, me rather than other people. I don't know if excited is the right word, but
well, don't worry, we're going to put you at ease, nice cozy couch, sponsored by Karogo. But Ollie, for those who may not know who you are, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ollie, I guess 25, from Leeds originally, now living in London. I run a couple of marketing agencies and I'm CMO of a growing e-commerce group based in Belfast. So involved in kind of 3 different businesses, but all within that kind of umbrella of D2C e-com in different capacities and scopes. And I've been working on them for kind of different time periods as well. So, yeah.
So I'm curious, you obviously do the marketing. What are you more passionate about, D2C or the marketing aspect? I know they tie in closely, but...
probably more D2C. I'm a big fan of D2C e-commerce. It's what I've done for probably like 6 to 7 years now in different capacities, which is a long time for that industry. I feel it's not really that mature. I think what I like about it is it's fast moving. It's quite innovative. I think it's one of the most competitive marketing industries because of how fast moving it is and how many brands are popping up all the time and how quickly platforms are moving, how quickly like trends change on the internet compared to kind of more like macro sort of out-of-home marketing. And I quite like the level of data, the level of insights you get and the amount of kind of how reactive you can be to that and how traceable like changes, tests and things you do are in a way that's sort of less online. Things that kind of happen on offline, say sort of out home, billboard, etc., just doesn't have that kind of traceability and direct results aspect to it. So I'd say more D2C, but then obviously you have to understand like fundamentals at the same time. Like it all comes back to human psychology, etc., etc. So still have a keen interest in that as well.
Well, so I guess that's what I was wondering, right? Because one of them is heavily based around the product, finding out what people love, getting people hooked on it, getting them interested in it, and not just the promoting side, but you find the creation and how people respond to it and finding the right product more interesting than how you get it in front of them.
I guess a bit of both. So by being agency first, I guess like by design, that business is like marketing other people's products. So like you're coming into a business with proof of concepts, or most of the clients we work with now certainly have like scaled proof of concepts in their products. So we come in and we're kind of like trying to turbocharge that, support them across acquisition, retention of customers. So that's very much like picking up other people's passion projects and trying to support them with our expertise. I guess the e-commerce group, I got involved in that at the point at which it already had one scale brand. So again, kind of coming in and supporting on something that already exists. But then what we're now trying to do is build brands from the ground up, either based on interest or based on markets or verticals where we spot opportunity or things that we can lean into and spot like, oh, this is an emerging trend, or there's someone doing this really well in America, but no one's really touching it in the UK, and trying to spot those opportunities. So I guess a bit of both still. But more the marketing side than the products.
Okay.
For myself, yeah.
So how did you end up in this world? Let's go a wee bit back to young Ollie's days.
I went to uni in Newcastle. Whilst there, met a guy called Matt, who I run my podcast with, and we started a dropshipping store. Well, he started a dropshipping store, then I came in and kind of worked on it with him. Whilst at uni, I was doing like a degree, economics and politics. That I was like, did it just because it was like something to do. Everybody else was going to uni.
Yeah.
And I was interested in it, but it wasn't like that. Like I didn't find that engaging. And then he kind of exposed me to this online world and like this marketing world and this ability to kind of almost like build something from scratch with little cash output at that time. It was very easy to build a business through like arbitraging, drop shipping from China. Like a lot of people still do this and get into the industry.
Everyone will have seen these people online talking about, start your drop shipping store cheap, and people try it and then drop it. So how did you guys kind of kick it off, and what success did you see that made you think this could be a career path, but obviously starting your own or helping others?
We launched we started that in like, it must have been 2018. I can't even remember, to be honest, the exact date. But at that point, it was like Facebook advertising and etc. was very new, very like in its infancy. The barrier to entry to like getting customer acquisition to work on that platform was super low. Like CPMs, cost to reach people, was super low.
Yeah.
So we've just found good product and managed to capitalize on a trend. It was actually around the time that like Geordie Shore, etc. was like big, and we started selling these Sherpa jackets and skinny jeans, and they just blew up. And Matt was definitely the driving force behind it at the time, and I was more like support. But yeah, it just exposed me to that world and showed me what's possible. We scaled that up, tried to turn it into our own brand, messed up logistics, messed up the costs behind it, got it all wrong, and then kind of that kind of tailed off, and then left me in a position where we just didn't have enough capital to start something else. So kind of took the skills that I learned through that and was like, why don't we just find business owners that have a product and apply that to their business? What
were the mistakes you made?
Oh, so many. Got an office too big an office that we didn't need, because there's 2 people sat in an office for like 10 people looking like idiots.
What made you like get the office in the first place? Were things going well and you thought you might need to grow, or was it just like excitement?
So stupid. Like just being naive 19, 20-year-olds thinking we needed it, seeing what other people were doing. We didn't need it. And then also tried to import a lot of the products from China, got the fulfillment, got the logistics of that wrong, costs. Didn't appreciate Chinese New Year, where everything just shut down for a month, which obviously you just had no idea that was a thing, being, again, naive.
Of course.
So just made a lot of mistakes there that left us in a position where we didn't have the capital to continue. But obviously cost us money, but at the same time learned invaluable skills and kind of set me on a path to where we are now, I think. Like without that experience, wouldn't have segued into what we do now. So it's one of those, cost money, but invaluable.
I mean, it's great you got to learn those lessons early on. Some people don't learn that till much later.
Yeah, making mistakes at a smaller scale. If we made those now, it would be much bigger.
So you had this office, and was there a bunch of like stock that you couldn't sell sitting in it?
Yeah, we just liquidated the stock for the 3PL. And then, about a year later, started agency with Joe, my business partner, who I run Saw with, again, whilst I was doing my dissertation at uni. And then straight after that, just started just working on it like day and night, pretty much, for till now, really, like 3.5 years in.
So how did the business start out?
We took a PayPal loan to get a course, and then learned how to like acquire clients and do like outreach, and did quite a lot of free work for businesses to start with. Signed a couple of good. And these businesses, the 2 of the businesses we signed first are still with us today.
Nice.
Did free trials, just was like, we'll do this. If we get you results, you'll pay us this, basically. Took them on, smashed it, got them results, and then built case studies, and then just went from there, just like reaching out to other clients and other potential clients, and then building a bit of a portfolio and scaling things up, and then started to build a team once we needed to.
So what was your offer you were going in with? Paid social ads?
Yeah, just Facebook, Instagram, basically media buying at the time. Now we've progressed a long way past that, but again, at that time it was about probably 2019. It was a lot of leverage could just be got from being an expert at spending money via Facebook and how to optimize your accounts, how to test, how to structure those. So yeah, just selling that as a service.
How did you find business owners at the time? Obviously, you're offering a free service, that's a wee bit easier, but what was your offer? The course taught you sales skills. How did you find using it all?
We split the business in half now. Joe does most of the sales. well, all the sales. We've got a team there now, but he does the sales side of the business. But at the time, it was just emails, DMs on Instagram worked really well back in the day before it got really saturated. And just having a strong pitch. We did a lot of like video upfront audits, stuff like that, just like trying to provide value on the front end to get people on the phone, and then did quite a few in-person meetings, got the trust, and then just got them on board, and then went from there.
So whilst you were doing it, were you just going for any kind of client? Like, were you so passionate about running ads? Was it financially motivated? What was kind of pushing you guys for it?
I think a bit, like, obviously I'm very passionate about marketing and growing brands. That's why I've kind of got involved in the ecom group now, is to get more back into like the weeds of actually growing brands rather than just managing teams. But there's an element of, I think whenever you start, there's still that financial aspect to it, because you need to sustain living, to support, and to do what you want to.
That PayPal loan needs paid off.
It needs to pay you first, and then you can focus on like really diving deep into the passion side of it. So it was kind of getting a base of revenue in that could support us both, and then we could build from there. We went really heavily after fashion, again owing to the experience that I'd had previously in that vertical, and because those businesses are usually set up where their content is pretty good. They've got the content capacity in-house because they're already shooting it. So we have all of the things we need to come in and do just our best work, or we did at the time. So we kind of focused on that vertical to start with, and then branched out from there.
You said you'd experience in it. Was that what you were ordering from the Chinese websites and stuff? Okay.
Fashion. And just kind of stayed in that vertical to start with.
And then you mentioned that kind of took you up to 2018, 2019. I know we started hitting the classic. I try not to hover on it for too long during episodes. The pandemic, which was great for e-commerce businesses. Yeah.
There's been a lot of luck, or like, I guess you make your own luck to a degree, but I think there's been a lot of luck through our journey as a business. I'd say more time-based luck. Getting onto Facebook early, then starting the agency just before COVID, because we went really hard on growth through the first 6 months of COVID. Obviously, I think there was 6 years of e-commerce growth in 3 months in September to December of that first period.
Did you guys see the opportunity there quite early on?
We were seeing it from like a ROI perspective in the accounts we were managing. Like it was just blowing up. People were spending so much more disposable income online. So you could then just flip that onto the front end when reaching out to people and be like, look, everybody else is going to be backing off right now. This is your time to kind of take advantage of this. In terms of from a market perspective, obviously not taking advantage of something that's pretty serious. So like we flipped that into our messaging, used those case studies that were generating really good results for, and then just went really hard on like growth and outreach. Brought our first team members on, and then started to really structure more from like an operations perspective.
So you started looking for team members during the pandemic?
Yeah, we hired maybe 6 to 7 people during the pandemic.
So just out of curiosity, how did that kind of work? I'm sure a lot of people were doing it, but I've not actually discussed it with anyone yet. Was it you LinkedIn headhunting people? Were jobs going live? We hired a few of our mates. One of them is our COO currently, Matt, who we couldn't run the business without. We hired him. We hired another guy called Liam, who I went to school with. And these people who I knew, like Liam had worked in a marketing agency before. Matt had gone from like big four, then wanted to come and join. So we picked up a few people there and upskilled them a bit in terms of like the marketing side, but they also already had their experience to add to the business. And then from there, we just ran, like LinkedIn or Indeed ads and just picked people up that we needed. That was a learning experience, like how to hire, how to structure an interview process, how to vet people, especially online. You mean you've had to learn since, or you think you did it quite well at that time?
Oh, we had to learn. Yeah, we had to learn that. We got it wrong a couple of times, but like anything, I think we were 22 at the time. It's very hard to know what you're looking for when you're hiring people and managing people. So, just got it wrong, and then tried to really operationalize that process, work out like our culture, what we're hiring for, both from like a mentality, personality perspective, and then also a skill set perspective, and then kind of just run that from then on. And it's not changed too much since, really.
Well, that's kind of like a lot of people's big dreams. You never know if it will go like good or bad, like hiring friends, working with friends.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. So you preempted the next question. That's worked out well.
Yeah, I think there's people I know who I wouldn't hire. I've got a caveat with that. There's people that I feel like
all your friends.
It has to come from like a mutual understanding and like a kind of we've never had any issues with anybody that we've hired that we knew. Obviously we don't hire, like not everybody who works for us is a mate now. Like we've got a big team. They gave us massive buy-in. We obviously supported them. I think some of them like are the hardest working people in our business. But yeah, it's got to have that. We had a mutual respect of like, you know where the line is. Don't take each other for a ride. But that's a two-way street, obviously. Mm-hmm. It was really productive for us.
I guess was everyone just quite good with unspokenly a rule being work stays at the door, like leave it at the door?
I think so, yeah. I think there's been times when that overlapped, but yeah, we just never really... Just communication's key. I think we could still be better at it in places, definitely. But it's something that you always have to be a bit self-aware about and try and work on. And then just try and run your business from the top down, like you're in service of the people below you rather than the other way around, which most businesses don't do. Mm-hmm. It's very much like a lot of business owners you come across, even like some that we come across from an agency perspective, it's like you see how they operate with the people that work for them, and it's like the team's in service of them, whereas it would be much more productive if they ran it where their job is to make everybody below them's job as easy as possible, mm-hmm. and support them on their growth, because then they're going to enjoy the job more, support you on your growth, and it's just going to be a better, more productive relationship.
How big's your team now?
We've got 38 people at SAW, 22 people at 4U, and then we're just starting to build the team at the e-com group. The marketing team's only 3 people at the moment, but we've got like a large team for like manufacturing logistics in Belfast as well, which I'm not too involved in, to be fair. That side, that's Connor's problem.
Yeah.
He deals with that.
So you kind of mentioned culture. As you've grown, I know you said you made mistakes with hiring stuff, but overall, have you been able to maintain the culture that you guys want for the businesses? Yeah,
in 3.5 years, we've never had anyone leave the business. Like staff members leave the business. The culture is central to everything we do. Like when we hire based on the culture, like that's our first interview stage, is culture fit. We do employee reviews based on the culture, the 4 culture pillars that we set for the business. It's central to everything. Like if people are displaying those 4 culture pillars, they tend to be ticking every box in terms of like supporting us and also progression. So, it's worked really well, and and even just like outside of the work capacity, from like a social aspect and like an office culture, that's also really, really good. I think for the business, it's worked really well. People enjoy being there. People want to come in, want to come to all the social activities, and it's worked really well.
So what is the culture aspect? That first interview, I'm just curious, is it just a chat? Do you take them out?
Yeah, it's like a 20-minute, 30-minute chat where we just go through a bit about them, a bit about their background, a bit about their goals, what they're looking for in a role, and then like really try and get deep and whether they show what we'd consider to be like key traits for a role, and like whether they'd fit within our organization. And off the back of that, we'll then move them through to like next stage of the process, where it's more like practical skill-based assessments. Sure. But for me, it's like much easier to teach someone. And we've done this, we've hired loads of people and trained them from scratch. It's so much easier to teach someone like Facebook ads or how to content strategy at a high level than it is to change someone's mindset, and how they approach life, basically. It's like that's a proper reframing exercise, which is not something that you're going to do in a short period of time. And a lot of people just aren't willing to go on that journey. So we prefer to do it that way around.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I think when I worked in recruitment, you sent a lot of people across to agencies. A lot of them were, digital advertising agencies or whatever. And the last step was always the cultural thing. It was, do they know the skills? Do they know this? And then like they go out for drinks with the team, and it makes sense. That's a waste of time if they don't fit in with the team after. But
100%. I think above a certain scale, it becomes hard to do it that way, because it's like you have to have someone. Well, I don't know, if you have a HR hire who really knows the business, I guess you can still run it that way. But yeah, it's definitely been so productive for us to do it in that kind of processed way, like culture fit, practical offer. It's worked well.
Nice. Well, going back to like 2020, Facebook ads was like your guys' bread and butter. Going into the slight marketing chat of it, because I'm work in that world.
Yeah.
How have you found the evolution of the Facebook platform and Facebook ads? And obviously with things getting more competitive now, what's your opinion and overview of them as paid D2C platforms? Direct to consumer for people who don't know.
It's still the best source of awareness and customer acquisition, bar none, in the world still. Like it's gone through a lot of change. Like when we first started, you get a lot of arbitrage and success just being good at buying media in the ad account. Then iOS 14 came in. That kind of was a real difficult period for like 6 to 8 months, where the platform kind of lost so many data points. It became a lot harder. A lot of businesses just fundamentally didn't work because the cost increased so much from that loss of data. It was like you're casting a wider net, and it did become less effective. I think we've now kind of, I'd say we've rebuilt our service again to be more like holistic. Now it works just as well. Like a lot of our clients are currently getting some of the best results they've ever got, but it comes from a place of like more inputs are needed. So like it's one element of it is the ad account. Another element of it is like what's working around that ad account to make it, like what operations are supporting the work inside of that. So like, how are you approaching creative strategy, data insights and iteration on a creative side? How are you approaching post-click experience, landing page optimization, website optimization? And how are all of those feedback loops working, and how are they optimized to support that ad account ecosystem? When all of those three things come together with a really strong product and offer, you can still take a business from like, we've just scaled someone from 2K to 22K a day in 60 days. And it's like, you can still do get those kind of results. Mm-hmm. It just requires, we train our team now to be more holistic marketers than just someone who spends money in an ad account. And if you approach it in that way, and we've definitely seen like a shift. We've been picking up a lot of clients from other businesses, other agencies recently that haven't made that shift and haven't kind of appreciated that change in skill set and requirements for success. But yeah, still great, still works.
So please correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is, back in the day, people could get along with kind of average creative, average landing pages and still see good return, but now they have to be hitting all the right notes: the landing page, the journey, the creative, the copy. That has to be spot on.
Yeah, it depends. If you've still got a really good product and offer, you can still just slap it up and it'll still just work. Like, you used to be able to like pinpoint, think of it like a sniper rifle versus a shotgun. You used to be able to like put these ads up and you'd be able to target exactly who you wanted to target at the right time when you knew they had intent to purchase. Now you're casting a much wider net, and they're relying on like Facebook's algorithm and machine learning to do some of that for you. And the barrier to success is just a bit higher, I think. As I say, you can still get success in some industries by just throwing things up if you've got a really good product and brand. But for us, it's more about those feedback loops and setting up processes and systems that allow you to get incremental improvements over time and drive better efficiency over time. And if you approach it like that, you'll still get the same sort of results. But it is, and also if you approach it like that, not many businesses are. So that's where like the competition is getting more fierce, I guess, but it's still like the cream rises to the top. If you're the best at content, you're the best at media buying and you're the best at like post-click landing page optimization, then that's your whole customer journey. So you just have to knit them all together.
Yeah. So you mentioned that it's got to be like if someone's got a good offer or a good product, or sorry, both a product and a good product. I was just doing the shift.
Yeah.
Have you seen any recently, whether it's any of your clients or any, if you don't want to give that away, any non-clients where you've been really impressed or it's caught your eye and you've been like, we should get them as a client because they've got a great product, a great offer, but they're missing a couple of tricks?
We like, I guess less so other businesses. I guess we get this from like doing audits a lot. Like we'll look into an ad account and we're like, God, we've just taken on a client recently, a skincare brand, where it's like they have this amazing brand and this amazing like ecosystem, but they're just not knitting that final piece together of like creative that attracts people to take action on the platform and drives them through the right journey to convert. And we get a lot of that. Like we're looking at the ad account, the setup's just not quite right. We make some small adjustments. We change the content briefs a little bit. We change that post-click experience a little bit, and it's like transformational in like 7 days. Obviously there's others where we have to like pick up and we have to do like some serious front end work to get them to a point where it's the numbers are where we need them to be. It depends where the business is when we pick it up. But yeah, we do come across a lot from it, like running audits, etc., where we're like, yeah, we can make a massive difference here. We're never in the business of working with people, especially at this stage. We just kind of don't really need to. It's like we only will work with people if we like, right, we've looked in there and we know that we can make a difference. So yeah, I'd say that's the main thing. Yeah, just.
Well, for someone who's got to see a lot of accounts, what for you constitutes a good offer?
Offer's difficult, I guess. Like offers, it's different. A good offer is different to different people, isn't it? Like what you constitute a good offer to be is, I guess, something that people like want or solves a very clear problem for an individual, at a solid price point or with like a solid. It's like constructing an offer could be like discount, it could be like gift with purchase. It's quite like a holistic process. But a good product for us is something with like a clear benefit or like solves a clear problem within a customer's mind. And then it's all about building content and a journey that kind of translates that and really hits on those pain points and allows us to drive action.
Nice. So that's the journey with how the Facebook business became more of a holistic digital agency.
Yeah.
But you guys kind of spotted an opportunity with the newest social media platform, TikTok, right?
Yeah, we got that. We've got a second agency for TikTok. Yeah, we spun that out of Saw because we got on the platform super early, but that is even more content heavy. Like it's all content. It's like I call it it's more of an entertainment platform than a social media. Like if you use TikTok, like you're not on there to keep up with what your mates are doing. You're on there for escapism, to watch some funny videos and be entertained. It's more of like a YouTube than a Instagram. As a result, like your content has to be constructed in a way that leans into that rather than tries to do something different. So you have to mold your brand to the platform rather than try and mold the platform to your brand, which is what a lot of people get wrong. But yeah, we tried to like spend on there through Saw with a few clients and noticed that most of them didn't have the content available to execute properly and get the results they were looking for. Mm-hmm. So we brought in another partner, Lucas and Liam, to set up the content side of that business.
Were they two guys you knew who were doing it already, or? Yeah,
Lucas owns a content agency, and then Liam was really just deep into TikTok. And they built out UGC, which is user-generated content, which is pretty much all that works on that platform. And then we spun up the agency to service TikTok-specific clients specifically for TikTok, and we've been growing that as well alongside Saw. And that's been, just a different challenge, but still fairly similar in terms of like the workflows and the setup there.
Well, it's nice, right? Because it's a new challenge. It gets you thinking in a different way and forces you to think about looking at things from different angles.
Yeah, it's been good. It's got us access, because we were quite early. It's got us access to some like really big, like clientele there, I'd say, is the bigger businesses, or have been. And to start with, they were bigger businesses. So yeah, it's been great to get access to some of those, and yeah, it's just been good. It's been a good new challenge, like you say. Enjoyed kind of taking on a new platform, and it's been growing pretty well so far. Obviously, it's not been great that they've been threatening to ban it in America in the last few months, but that's been a challenge in itself. But yeah, fun platform to work with.
What are your thoughts on that? What direction do you think that's going to go?
I actually have no idea. Like, it's a difficult one. I haven't I should have probably kept tabs on it more than I have. I think I can see the issues with the platform. I can see why America has issues with the platform, but I still think the conversation should be less about the platform and more about like holistic data privacy. It's like obviously it's the element of like Chinese ownership is a problem for them, but then the way that processes data won't be that different to how Facebook process your data. So like, do you go after like the symptom or the root cause? Like, that's one platform that's doing that, but there's another 50 that are probably just as bad. I don't know where it'll go. I don't think it'll get banned. I think more likely it'll get sold off to a US company, the US arm of it, and then they just mold it into I think a couple of them put offers in about a year ago. I don't know if that went anywhere. Hopefully it doesn't get banned, because that wouldn't be ideal.
Yeah.
But
have you got a few American clients?
Yeah, we've got loads. A lot of our clients advertise. America's just a lot more advanced from like a D2C perspective. Mm-hmm. It's like I say, it's like a year or maybe even 2 years ahead of the UK market. So we spend quite a bit over there for clients. But yeah, we just have to. We are actively like insulating against that risk, I guess. Nice.
Well, so you mentioned earlier as well how brands have to act a certain way on TikTok. They have to shape themselves around the platform, because a lot of, I'd imagine, legacy brands, they do a really nice, sexy YouTube video and they just try and shoehorn it in on the platform, and it always looks out of place, right? And I imagine it varies from client to client. What kind of strategy or recommendations should you go on with them? Is it content series? Is it specific trends? What's your go-to recommendation?
We manage all of the creative workflow for them from a paid perspective. Yeah, a lot of them just come on and slap on the Facebook ads and just hope it's going to work. Like, they'll take the Facebook Reels or Facebook Story ads and just put it on, and it's just so overproduced that no one clicks on it or engages with it. We kind of start from the ground up. We'll find UGC creators who are already making TikToks, already understand the platform. They're on there every day. They know the trends. They know what works. And then it's about like finding the intersection between TikTok as a platform and the brand, and then bringing those two together. So like making entertaining content that still fundamentally has direct response frameworks to it, because you can't just go full entertainment, because then no one will click on it and go to your website. But you can't go full ad, because no one will watch it and they'll just scroll past it. So
it's a really fine line.
You have to find that way of like entertaining while still having a framework that drives people to action off the back of stopping them. So we go quite granular on like each individual section of the video. So like how to stop people and get their initial attention, how to encourage them to watch it, and how to encourage them to like click through and take action off the back end. And then it's just about testing and learning from there and just iterating.
Well, it's like you said, it's such a content heavy platform. You've got to test different hooks, different wordings, different cuts. So that's obviously explains why you started up a whole agency around it, right? Mm-hmm. How big's that agency now, did you say? I think you said that's that.
Got 22 people there as well.
And is this mostly editors and creatives?
We still have media buyers and things there. We've got creative strategists, account managers, editors, a couple of like one like person who just specializes in sourcing creators, and then media buyers as well. That's a full remote agency, which is a different setup to SAW, which is interesting. But
so what you've got international people working on it?
Just mainly UK, but all just remote working, fully remote. Where SAW's got an office, so I guess, different setups.
How do you find that as like a business owner, because you get to experience both sides, right? In the office and fully remote. What's like for you, and this is very topical, isn't it? What's the pros and cons of each?
I think there is, I think it's easier to find talent if you're remote because your talent pool's not limited to a location. We've not reached a cap in Leeds, but there's only so much talent from like a digital, like a high level D2C marketing in Leeds. Like it's not a huge city. Obviously in London, it's a lot easier to find people with experience that have been there and done it and can come in and hit the ground running. Remote, you're not kind of limited in that way. I think I've definitely found office to be better for training people. Also, it's definitely easier to build a culture in office. I think the ideal for me is a hybrid, to be honest. Like that's what we do at SOT. It's not like in office every day. I just think that for remote, you have to be very intentional about like still approaching it as you would if you had an office. So culture is still a thing, like sharing wins, having an element of like non-work chat, specifically like there, doing socials where you all come together and still trying to keep that as a focus within the business. And so it doesn't become just like purely we log on, we do work, we log off, and there's no like connection there, because then you're just going to get people who move from job to job again. So yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to each. Even if it's a cost perspective, it's cheaper to run it remote because you've got no office fee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they both work. Like the both businesses are doing well. Both businesses are, the culture's great. Like the team's great. The results we're getting, which is obviously the most important thing, is great. But they're set up very fundamentally different. So you can make both work.
And if your time's not massively split with those two, we've also moved on to your next exciting adventure, which
JAQ Group, which
JAQ Group,
I got to the point with the agencies where I think because we have such good teams and such good people below me, like the agency is a team business. Like I wouldn't be able to run the agencies without the people below me who are in the right seats and are better than me at what they do. So I've obviously got to quite a top level there where it's very like strategic and like more like not bored, because I'm definitely more involved in that because I enjoy working with the teams, but a lot more top level. So yeah, joined JAQ Group as CMO, which is as I said, an e-commerce group. So we've got 3 internal brands at the moment, which are various different revenue sizes and scales and stages. And then we're looking to kind of build basically a brand house where we try and operationalize starting and scaling brands, like a couple of brands a year, from like product to proof of concept / product market fit, and then building teams to support those brands from there. But we're very early stages of that. We're just setting the foundations and bringing in the core team to do that.
Did they approach you or did you approach them?
So I met Connor, who is the owner, originally through actually a networking event. We worked with him in an agency capacity for a period. Then he was just like, look, do you want to come on and do this as more of like an internal role? And like I said, my role at the agency is my leverage, or my position within the business that gets the most output on my time investment for the agencies is very much like strategy, people, top level. But where I actually enjoy is like growing brands and doing the marketing. It's at this stage that may change further into my career, I guess. So that represented an opportunity where I could join and have more actually like deploy resources and shape the brands and shape the stories and like, again, there's an element of team building. There's an element of like bringing people in to do things that they're good at, but there's also an element of like having the ability to like make decisions that produce direct output on a brand level and drive growth for the e-com brands rather than like a service business, which is what I kind of enjoy. So switched into that.
So are you guys going to be creating the products from scratch yourselves?
So for the current brands, because they're in a vertical where we do that, yes, we do that for the brands, the 2 brands or the 3 brands that we've got at the moment. The brands that we're launching through the rest of this year and probably next year, we've got a really, really good product development company called Simple Company that are based near Gatwick that are doing like the R&D and manufacturing. We're niching the business into like consumable products. So we're not doing like supplements as a vertical. We're doing like broadly things that people consume on a predictable time frame, because it gives you really good economics, because you get like a really solid, like what we call like CAC to LTV ratio. So people are predictably replenishing things on a consistent time basis, you can kind of plot like what your lifetime value of a customer looks like over 6 months, 12 months, etc. And then how that compares to your cost of acquiring them on the front end and bringing them in. So like for us, those businesses, like they're the closest thing to like a SaaS model within the D2C space.
So what's going to be the key things, if you're happy to give them away, that you look for when you start a new product, test it, see like how much time do you give it, how fast do you kill it, and what's like your major flags?
Yeah. So there's transparently there's an element of like unknown around that. Like that's something we're trying to operationalize still. I think for us, it's like, I think what we want to do is allocate a specific test budget and a specific test period. So I think 3 months is plenty of time. Once you've got a website, maybe some landing pages, some content and a product, like to do that from that point to testing, like 3 months is a long time when you're getting a lot of data on a daily basis. What we look for in that period is like as close to first order profitability as possible, if not like well above that, like way better than that would be ideal. If we can see like clear signs, or like say we're not quite there, but we can see, all right, there's a massive bottleneck at like a landing page perspective, but loads of people are clicking on the ads, then usually that's enough data to be like, right, well, we need to just troubleshoot and work on that post-click experience. So it's, just taking that data, as I say, we still need to we need to optimize that and really get like clear KPIs for each business. But it's just a test and learn process. 3 months is enough. Like you have to be pretty like ruthless with it. We're very aware that not every brand we launch is going to work. It's just about like also learning from everyone and then making sure that the feedback loops aren't just brand specific. They're across the whole group of like, well, this didn't work here. This did work here. We should do this differently next time. And then also I think it's spotting the right verticals to enter, which is another completely different ball game in itself.
Well, it's quite a nice evolution. It's almost full circle back to like the days where you'd order from the Chinese websites. Just actually owning the products in-house this time, a bit less. Is there any, like through all these years of working in DTC and around products and stuff, is there any like product you're super passionate about that you'd want to start, that you'd like to introduce?
I've always wanted to do a fashion brand because I like fashion, but then working closely with fashion brands, it's a really complex business. So like most of the brands we're launching are, as I said, consumable, which makes them revenue more predictable. It's like very low SKU. So like they either have like 1 or 2 core hero SKUs, and then maybe you have like 3 or 4 supporting SKUs, and maybe you broaden out eventually. Fashion's complex because you've got like say you're going to launch a line of hoodies. You've got 6 designs, 5 sizes. Like it's so much less forecastable and predictable. You've got returns to account for at a much higher level. You've got massive cash outlay, and it's very like cash flow inefficient because you're always buying for like future demand, which you can get, like I've seen it before, like with fashion brands, like if they get the drop and the design's wrong on the next drop, they might not sell out, or like it's a very complex business. I'd still like to do it because I'm interested in it, but seeing other people do it puts me off doing it right now. It's it'd have to be more of like a passion project further down the line. But yeah, I think I can get quite passionate about any of the products we launch as long as there's like a clear like customer profile, a clear like real clear route to market. I find it more enjoyable just like constructing the narrative around it and like how like we're going to optimize it over time and how we get it to just work and then build from there, build like communities, build like improve websites. It's kind of like high level problem solving. How do we make this 10% more efficient? Like how do we construct an offer that's going to produce another 2-3% net profit if we switch our front end offer to that instead, and like things like that. I find more like I've got more of a passion right now anyway. So
yeah, very much problem solving.
Yeah,
like modern day puzzles, professional puzzles. Yeah. So you mentioned in the future, I mean, it's probably still a way off. You're so busy at the moment. What are you? Did you know like a direction you want to take things? I mean, everything's great and steady right now. Do you have like an end goal where you're like, this is where I'd like things to end up? And that can obviously change, but right now.
For the agency, for SOAR, we just want to be the best D2C agency in the UK, I think. Like, I don't have any desire to, I think we build it to exit in the sense that we build it in a way that's like not super reliant on the founders, very operationalized, good ecosystem, good brand, good efficiency, so that if someone wanted to buy it would be easy to make that decision. But until it becomes boring and I'm not passionate about it, I'm not enjoying working on it, then we just wouldn't entertain that. And I think we're still on such a good growth path that it's not really crossed our mind. I think.
Have you been approached?
No, not yet. No. So it's more just like trying to build. There's a lot, again, I reference the US a lot because they're a lot further ahead in the journey of the industry. They're a lot more mature. They've got some really big players in the space, but there's not really an agency in the UK from a D2C perspective where you're like, that's the agency to reference. There's a few in the US, like Common Thread Collective, to name one, where you're like, they're like an industry leader and they work with some really big brands. I think we want to try and not like emulate that, not copy it, but emulate that position and just keep growing the team. I get a lot of fulfillment out of like the journey that we've taken some of the team members on and the opportunities that they're getting. And then obviously JAQ Groups is like, so we're so early into that. It's like, we're just going to probably focus the next few years on growing that as well. In terms of long term, I've got no idea. I've got absolutely no idea. I don't really have as long as I'm enjoying it, having fun, have a decent work-life balance, and the people around in the businesses are having fun and enjoying what they're doing as well. As long as that's happening, like I'm not really like a long-term. I'm a long-term thinker from like a strategy perspective, but not from like a real big goal perspective. I don't really have any. Because
you're living such great things at the moment. I did figure it was going to be maybe a harder one to answer because like everything's really cool and fun and you're enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. So sure that'll change eventually.
Yeah.
Get really stressful and blow up.
It's all going to go great. So Olly, just like for anyone listening, what minus, be aware of Chinese New Year, what's like a major big lesson if you could go back and speak to your 18-year-old self that you would not necessarily warn them about, but what's like something that's been really key for your growth and learning?
That's a really good question. You've caught me off guard. I guess like there's probably a few. Like I think trusting the process is a big one. Like a lot of people get very stressed and like, so like a saying that my friend always said to me is like, be very patient in the macro, but very impatient in the micro. So like big things take a lot of time to come to fruition, but you want to concentrate on working really hard and fast, like a short-term time period, and be impatient with that. So try and take massive action every day and really drive things forward. But then in terms of like developing like longer term, and I'm still not great at this, but like you've got to be patient for those things to come to fruition over time. I think the power of like people, like I think that's still underappreciated. You can't do everything yourself. Like you need to find people who are better than you at things. That's the whole point of running a business beyond a certain point, is you get people who are better than you in to do jobs and leave them to do their job, like let them excel at what they're good at. I'm trying to think of what else. Those are probably two off the top of my head. Yeah. I don't know.
I think two, most people give one, so I think two is even better than normal, so I wouldn't worry for a third. But Olly, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Really enjoyed it. Cheers.